Welcome to Teacher Computer Bootcamp. My name is Roger Bright. Today what we're going to go over is how to create an email address list for your Outlook 365 from Viewpoint. Assuming that some of your parents, especially this early in the year, might not have access to Canvas, but you still want to get mass emails out, best way to do it is to create an email list from all of your students that can be found in Viewpoint, and this tutorial will hopefully show you how to do it as easily as possible. The best place to access your email lists, at least at this point, is going to be from the IPT tool, aka Viewpoint. Access IPT from EdConnect by clicking on Student, then Student Info, and then Instructional Planning Tool, again also called Viewpoint. After you click on IPT, you'll be taken to this login screen. Log into IPT or Viewpoint the same way you logged into EdConnect. To get your students' contact information, you're first going to have to select a course. Click the down arrow next to Course, then click on the desired course. Now scroll down until you see a folder labeled Grade Reports and click Class Contact List. This will bring up all the contact information for your students in that class. If you just want to isolate an individual period, you can do that by going back and selecting Period from the menu under Course. We're going to proceed as if we are creating a contact list for every student in that course, however. To isolate your email addresses, it's going to be necessary to export this information to Excel. Do this by clicking the Excel logo in the upper right corner. All the information you need is now in front of you on the Excel document. The immediate problem Viewpoint gives us is that it contains all the information that we need about a student in one cell rather than in categories. We don't have them broken up as into first name, last name, phone number, address, email. All the information for the student's contact or their legal guardian is contained within one cell. Now, rather than copying and pasting each address one by one, we can isolate the addresses by taking advantage of a few Excel features. But before we can do anything, we need to enable the document for editing. Do this by clicking the Enable Editing button in the top center. Next, we want to copy the column containing the information we want and paste it on a new sheet so it isn't bound by other aspects of the document. Select all the information by clicking the letter B at the top of the second column. Then move your cursor over any cell in the highlighted column and right-click. Then select Copy from the menu. Lastly, create a new sheet by clicking the plus sign at the very bottom next to the Generic Grid tab. This will take you to a new sheet. To bring the data you already copied over to the new sheet, move your cursor over to cell A1 and right-click your mouse. Select the first option from the left under the Paste Options menu. Your information has now been brought over. To make this data more accessible, we're going to break up each line in every cell into its own column. To do this, we will first highlight the entire column by clicking the letter A at the top of the column like we did previously. Now we want to move to the Data menu by clicking the word Data at the top of Excel. By using the Text to Columns feature, we're going to split each line into its own separate column. Start this by clicking on Text to Columns. Text to Columns will allow us to isolate one aspect each line has in common that Excel can use to separate it from the rest. Make sure that Delimited has been selected from the new menu, and then click Next. The characteristic we are going to use to separate the data is going to be the line break itself. On the pop-up menu, we see a list of selections for delimiters. Make sure that only the Other tab has been checked for your delimiters. Then, next to Other, in the box type Control-J. This will tell Excel that you want to use the line break as your delimiter. You'll now see in the preview window that the data has been moved into separate columns. Now click Next. And finally, click Finish. Now that the lines have all been sent to different columns, we need to isolate just the email addresses. Start by clicking Home from the top menu. We're going to isolate all of our email addresses by eliminating any cells that are not email addresses. Unfortunately for us, those cells all have one thing in common. They all have parentheses. Now you might be asking, well, all email addresses have @ symbols. Why can't we do it that way? The reason for that is because once we have those isolated, while Excel will allow me to eliminate cells, it will not allow me to copy and paste all of those cells, at least not in an easy way. So let's get going. To isolate all the cells with parentheses, begin by clicking Find and Select from the Home menu, and then select Find from the drop-down menu. The Find and Replace pop-up menu will now appear. In the Find What line, type a single open parentheses. After typing the parentheses, you'll have to do the next two commands in quick succession. You are first going to click Find All, and then you're immediately going to type Control-A. Typing Control-A tells Excel to isolate all of the cells rather than just all of the occurrences of the parentheses itself. Now that you're ready, click Find All and then press Control-A. You should now see that all of your non-email address cells have been highlighted. You can click Close in the Find and Replace window. Now move your cursor over any of the highlighted cells and right-click. Select Delete from your drop-down menu. Choose Shift Cells Up from the pop-up menu and click OK. This will finally delete all of those cells containing the parentheses. To clean up the rest of the document, you may want to get rid of some unneeded cells. So first, we're going to click on A at the very top and drag it over to B so we can highlight both columns A and B. Right-click on any cell in column A or B and select Delete from the menu. This will automatically slide the remaining data over to the far left. Our last cleanup task is going to be to get rid of all the unwanted blank spaces. So highlight all of the cells by clicking on A and dragging over to the last column where you have data, or you can click the diagonal down arrow in the upper left corner of the field. Once all the data has been highlighted, then again in the Home menu, go to the Find and Select feature. From the drop-down menu, click Go to Special. In the pop-up menu, select Blanks and then OK. This will isolate all the blank cells that are remaining in our document. Now that those cells are isolated, next thing we're going to want to do is delete them. Right-click on any highlighted blank cell and select Delete from the menu. Select Shift Cells Up from the subsequent pop-up menu and then click OK. You should now see that all of the spaces that may have existed in your document are gone, and all of your data is organized into neat, tight columns. Now would be a good time to open a new Word document. So get out of Excel, go to Word, open a new document, then head back to your Excel sheet. To avoid a mess, we're going to have to bring our addresses over to the Word document one column at a time. So start by highlighting the data in column A, again by clicking the letter A at the top of the column. Then right-click any cell in column A and select Copy from the pop-up menu. And now go back to the Word document you just opened earlier. Right-click anywhere on the document and select the last option from the Paste Options menu, which is Paste Plain Text. Your addresses will now be brought over from column A in a neat column on Word. Now scroll to the bottom of your list. From here, go back to your Excel sheet. Do the same thing for the remaining columns until you've brought all your addresses over. Once all your data has been brought over to your Word document, now would be a good time to save the list. For me, since this would be a list of all of my students' parents' email addresses for civics, I would type civics 2122, and I usually put a date on that list so I know how old that email list is. So total label for this for me would be something like civics 2021 to 2022, July 31st. To use the list, you're going to select all of the email addresses simply by pressing Control A anywhere on the document. Now go to Outlook and open a new message by clicking New Message. Be sure that when you are sending a mass email out to parents, you never, ever put their email addresses in the To field, as this will let every parent see every other parent's email, and that is a severe breach of privacy protocol and going to get you some nasty emails, phone calls, maybe even a trip to see your principal. To avoid any privacy breach, when sending a mass email out to parents using this kind of email list, begin by addressing the email to yourself. In the To field, start typing your name and then select yourself. Then click the Blind Carbon Copy or BCC button in the upper right. That opens up the BCC field in your document. Now you can go back to your email list in your Word document. Again, if you haven't already done so, select all your data by pressing Control A. Then right-click anywhere on your selection and click Copy. Now head back to your email. Move your cursor over the BCC or Blind Carbon Copy field and right-click. Select Paste from the pop-up menu. All of the addresses should now appear in your Blind Carbon Copy field. And that's really it. You can now scroll down, compose, and send your email the way that you normally would. In addition to the time it took to create this video, I must have spent about 4 hours trying to find an easy way to create a very simple contact list in Outlook 365. I'm left with the idea that Outlook 365 is just not friendly for these lists. All the lists that they want you to create seem to require full contacts. And sometimes you just want to create a list out of a simple list of emails. If any of you are familiar with an easy way to create that list in Outlook 365, please contact me. I will be happy to listen and amend this video so that we don't have to go with what to me is a very inelegant way of having to copy and paste email addresses from Word and drag them over to Outlook. It seems really easy that there should be It seems apparent there should be some easy way in Outlook just to be able to copy and paste a list of email addresses into a contact list. But as it stands now, I'll be darned if I know what that is. I hope you found this somewhat helpful. Again, if you know more as far as Outlook goes, please contact me. I always love learning about this stuff, and I hope this helps you guys out for what has got to be a better school year this year than we were looking at last year. Thanks for watching.